Welcome to Right Thinking with Steve Coplon. I'm your host, Steve Coplon, and thank you for tuning in. Let's have a great day.
Good morning, everybody. Glad to be with you. Well, today is episode number 285. Right Thinking with Steve Coplon is very pleased to announce that this week's show is called My Voice, No More Crying. Tune in and hear Steve talk about aging and how acceptance is so very important to having a full life. This show will inspire you to move on from your complaining and welcome a new day. At the end of last week's show, when I was listening to it, I couldn't help but notice how strained and weak my voice was. I know that I've declined tremendously over the last few years, and it's just something that's happening to me. I suffer from a chronic fatigue caused by getting older. That's what my doctors say. Well, Steve, you're getting older. Couple cancers, couple times through radiation, chemo, just various different things that I go through. But the bottom line to it is that I'm getting older, and I don't really want to throw in the towel, of course. But when I listened to that show last week, I got to thinking, I bet that everybody that's listening to me for the full 5.5 years, however long I've been doing this, is saying, Steve's pretty weak today. His voice is not strong. Well, I know that, but I don't want to stop. Keep putting up with me. Turn the volume up or do something. But what I'm going through is this realization. It's not new to me. I know this. I'm just being honest about it, though. When you see somebody you haven't seen for a long time and they go, "Oh man, you look great. You look just like you used to." Yeah, thank you for saying that. But there are differences. Our bodies just start to wear out. Our muscle tone's not the same, our energy level. But what happens is that there's something very unique about the aging process. It's meant to have us ease into it, and we get a little more less physical and a little more cerebral, mental. Wisdom's supposed to kick in. Doesn't for everybody. I hope it does for me. But there is a decline in energy, and we have to be smart. So today's title, My Voice, I just was thinking after the show last week, I want to talk about my voice, and that I want to acknowledge to you that my voice isn't as strong as it was before. But a lot of people, when you think about my voice, they go in a different direction. How about Tom Jones? He was called the Voice, one of my all-time favorite singers of my life. I grew up with his music. My mom loved his music, and I saw this movie, What's New Pussycat, when I was about 12 years old, and that was a Tom Jones song. But I just love Tom Jones. He's the voice. The second part of the title, No More Crying, I added that on because as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, I want to talk about, even though we're not the same as we used to be, we don't need to be crying about it. There's a certain acceptance to it that once we find that acceptance, then we can maybe even enjoy life more. That's what I'm going through. I mean, I got grandkids now, and I love my grandkids. It's the best times of my life. The movie about Evita, not the movie, but the play. I guess they made a movie too. Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. So I want to talk about don't cry about it so much. Brought up Bob Marley, No Woman, No Cry. That's probably a little different direction, but a really good song that fits into what I'm talking about right now is the Beatles song Yesterday. In the lyric, I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me, but I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, go listen to Yesterday. It's the most I think I listened to an audiobook about 20 years ago. It's the most widely covered song in history. I listened to this 3 hours on the song, and at the time there were over like 1,500 versions put out there, covers made for it. A phenomenal song. Well, there's a song there that I really want to bring onto it right now that I think is absolutely incredible for what the theme is today. And it's the Steve Miller Band, Fly Like an Eagle. There's a lyric in there: time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. It does. I use this line from the play Annie, the sun will come up tomorrow. And then I say, whether you want it to or not, it's going to. So you need to be on the right side of that. Well, there's lyrics in the song Fly Like an Eagle that I just want to hit a couple of these lyrics. I want to fly like an eagle to the sea, fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly like an eagle till I'm free. Oh Lord, through the revolution. The next part is amazing for you talk about doing good things in life. Feed the babies who don't have enough to eat. Shoe the children with no shoes on their feet. House the people living in the street. Oh, there's a solution. I want to fly like an eagle. You know, if you heard those words I just read, and you're not thinking about good things that you can do to make a contribution in this life, you're really not on the same wavelength with me right now. That's what I'm really trying to talk about is as we go through life, trying to make a difference. The acceptance portion of what I'm trying to talk about, though, that's really the key to the whole thing. If if you want to if you want to cry and just complain, you're not going to experience the joys in life that await you. Uh, Years back, it's been maybe 16 or 17 years ago, my wife and I were attending a church. We had just started attending a church. And there was a man there that I went to a retreat and I met him. He was like an elder in the church. His name was Dan Crabtree. And he was a doctor, but he was also just an incredibly good Bible teacher. And about a year after I met him, he got a terminal illness. And it just devastated everyone that knew him because this man was just such a beautiful, loving, kind, good man, a role model. And I'll never forget what he did. It left an impression on me. As he was going through his last couple months of his illness, he did a journal, a daily journal where he just expressed his thoughts. I think he put them out on Facebook, and a lot of people tuned in to his daily journal. It was just the words, the thoughts of a man who was in his last days. The illness was going to take him. He didn't have long to live, but I'll just never forget how powerful it was to have Dan go through his last days with the humility and the grace that he showed us. I I just will never forget Dan, a beautiful, beautiful man. A lot of what I've been doing for these years with the radio show is, like trying to live in the present, live in the moment, thinking about the future, and just living a life that I will be able to make my contributions, know my reasons to live, and to make the most out of every day. Um, Another part of today's show, my voice, no more crying. When you come on to the part about voice, it ties to the idea of finding your voice. That's a term in literature and in writing and in poetry, where people are always looking to find their voice. That means express yourself. You're a unique person. You're a unique child of God. Just find a way to express yourself. You don't have to be put down and be in a room or a group where you don't feel like it's okay to speak your thoughts. I remember when I was in high school, in my English class, advanced English. I guess it was my junior year, and I looked around the class, and all these real smart intellectual people that knew way more than I did. They were constantly raising their hands, wanted the teacher to call on them because they just wanted to share their thoughts, and I wasn't doing that. And then one day I looked around and I just said, you know what? There's no reason that I shouldn't raise my hand here. And then I started speaking, and I guess I've never stopped. But our First Amendment guarantees us the freedom of speech, and so when I started preparing for today's show, I I had a thought pop into my head, and then I listened to this. I'm always trying to encourage you. It's not a bad thing to do if you're just gonna be on that internet as much as you are, to Google really positive things. And so when I'm thinking about the First Amendment and freedom of speech and your voice, the song "Lift Every Voice and Sing" by James Weldon Johnson. It's one of the most powerful poems you're ever going to find. It's a song about freedom and the impact of our past, our heritage, the strength of the men and women who came before us. There's just a couple verses of the song that I'd like to share with you now that I think is just the heart of it. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. That's a beautiful, beautiful, positive, positive song. Well, the next one that I got into I thought that was tied into Maya Angelou. And so she's one of my all time favorite people. Um, I know why the Cage Bird Sings is one of her autobiographies. I think she had 6 autobiographies, and that was the first one that talked about her early life, her childhood. And she's amazing. If you don't know Maya Angelou, let me just tell you, she is just one of the most amazing women of American history. She was the first Black woman to do a poem at a presidential inauguration for uh, uh, President Clinton, and she she's just amazing. She is just absolutely amazing. But the poem that she recited at Clinton's inauguration is called, well, I don't even know the title of it, but it's a short thing, but it's got some beautiful lyrics to it or words to it. Let me share it with you. Lift up your eyes upon this day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. That's just the only part I'm going to read. For each hour, each new lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for a new beginning. The theme of moving forward with your life, a new beginning, no matter how hard life has been, is what we all need to embrace. It's just incredible. But Maya's all time favorite poem that she wrote is "Still I Rise." That's her most famous poem that she herself says is her favorite. Um, there's a verse in there that I want to quote because we're talking about people that are going through hard times and what they do to rise up above. Still I rise. The first verse starts off, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. I want to skip down to just 2 verses that really give you the essence of it. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my heartiness offend you? Don't you take it awfully hard, because I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. gold mines digging in my own backyard. That is powerful. You know, I've tried my whole life to always fight the good fight, to just whatever happens, to just rise up above it, like Maya's talking about there. And, there's a lot of things that happen in life that just are not good. And one of those that I want to tell you is that I got a younger brother. He's 13 years younger than me. His name's Mark. And Mark was taken, afflicted, whatever you want to call it, with asthma at just like maybe 7 years old. And that was really tough for him to. He used to go to the emergency room hospital all the time and have to be on oxygen. He'd have asthma attacks in the night. And I remember my mom and his dad would just rush him to the emergency room so he could have some oxygen. Well, I took him to the YMCA, one of my favorite places in my life to be. And I taught him how to swim, and it strengthened his lungs. And that was like a miracle for how well he did to get past his asthma attacks, because his lungs got real strong. He became a really good swimmer, and that was just so beautiful. I'm his big brother. I wanted to do something to make my brother's life better, to help my mother. Well, when he became 12 years old, though, it was very difficult because he was diagnosed as a juvenile diabetic. That's the most serious form of diabetes, where your pancreas just doesn't work at all. And he started to have to go on insulin shots, and he's had all sorts of stuff his whole life. But he's 58 years old now, and he's amazing what he goes through. You talk about somebody that goes up and down with having to fight crisis with their health. He does it as well as anybody I know. I'm proud of my brother Mark. Well, I read a book when he was just starting to when he first got diagnosed with his diabetes. And it was all about how to deal with diabetes. And there was a chapter in that book that it's part of my life story. The very last chapter was called The Advantages of Being a Diabetic. Now let's stop on that for just a minute. The advantages of being a diabetic. Are you kidding me? You want to, hey, I'll give it to you real easy without taking you through the whole thing. Make lemonade out of lemons. So if you're a diabetic, what are you going to do? You're going to just cry, throw in the towel, quit. I can't be like other people. I got all these reasons why I can't have a rich, full life. You could be that way if you want to be, but I wouldn't advise it. Absolutely not. The point of that chapter, the advantages of being a diabetic, it was basically that you will take better care of yourself than the average person, because you have to. You know that you've got a situation that requires special attention, that you have to learn better hygiene habits at a very early age. You have to learn how to take care of yourself with sunburn and not letting your feet get burned, especially. And so it was just the most positive thing. And I guess I read that, let's see, he was 12 and I was, I was close. I guess I was about 25. I'm 13 years older, but it was powerful. 5 or 6 years before, maybe 7 years, I don't know, when I was at Old Dominion University, just starting college, freshman English, you do a lot of writing. That's when they really try to help you find your voice and express yourself. And I wrote a paper that I think is one of the best that I ever expressed myself in my life, only because it captured my attitude. And the paper was called The Advantages of a Broken Home. I went back and reflected on going through a family that was, that had divorce. My dad and my mom got divorced when I was 7 years old. My dad moved out of state. And this paper that I wrote was just looking at my life and just trying to take a very, very positive point. But I believed it. It wasn't just wishful thinking, trying to make myself believe something. If you're a person that's constantly trying to be positive, but it hasn't gone into your heart and you don't really believe it, go deeper. Give me a call. Talk to me some. I want to share more with you because you can you can get through your pain. You can get through your hardship. Well, so in the paper though, I brought out things like, well, instead of being in a family where there's constant verbal violence, abuse, not physical abuse, but verbal abuse, emotional abuse, yelling, harshness. The wrong kind of love was being modeled. So you got to stop and think. Now, I'm not going to get into a theological conversation about whether divorce is condoned or not. Some people that are into certain churches, they don't believe in divorce. They believe that you just got to suffer, stick it out all the way through. Well, I believe in I believe in counseling. I believe in prayer. I believe in trying to reconcile. Of course, exhaust those possibilities. But I don't believe that if there's abuse, it should continue. What I'm saying though is that I looked at the positive side of my situation. I said, you know what? I am very fortunate. I am very fortunate to be able to get to where I'm not going to be around just a very toxic atmosphere, just the wrong kind of love being modeled. And it helped me because at that early age, I started to really know what I wanted out of life. I didn't want what I had there with that broken family and all that ugliness. I became very, very independent at a very early age that I might not have been able to experience if I had been in a more of a normal, well-adjusted family. Hey, I'm not saying that if you're in a normal, well-adjusted family that you should wish you weren't. Absolutely not. I'm making the most out of a situation here. I developed an incredibly close communication with my mother. We went through hard times together. We were poor. Washing machine would break down. My mother would not want to, but she'd have to call her brother that was very successful and ask could he help us out because she didn't have the money to get a new washing machine. A lot of things. I shared many hard times with my sister, my mother and my sister. We got through it, and to this day, my sister and I are very, very close, and we just love to laugh and it developed good character, but we developed a complete love of laughter. I have an expression that I tell people a lot. If you knew all that I'm going through, that's just so hard. Sometimes I just want to cry, but I don't. I choose laughter instead. That's my point today, that life is about choices. It's a choice how we respond to life's difficulties and hardships. When I was in my early 30s, I was at the peak of my career. My physical career as a karate instructor, I was doing just incredible things. I walked on my hands a lot. I could walk upstairs. I could walk all the way across the basketball court on my hands from one end to the other and stop at half court and do 20 handstand push-ups. I was in peak physical condition. And then out of nowhere, I ended up having two discs in my neck became ruptured and crushed, and I had like an emergency surgery. It all happened in about 2 days where I was 100% okay. There wasn't an accident that, some people have to go through that if they get in a car accident. They know the cause. We didn't know my cause, but I ended up having this surgery. I was in the hospital for 10 days, and I had two discs replaced in my neck and put back in and out of a bone bank in California and fused together. And it was very, very hard time for me, very hard time. And at the time, I had started my own accounting practice a year or two before, and I lost my business. I couldn't perform. I was out of work for a couple months. But here's what the point is. I I had to go to a doctor. It was a psychiatrist because I was having a hard time getting through the adjustment of the life change that I had. They said, Steve, you've been catapulted into your midlife just because with this surgery. You're a 31-year-old with a 50-year-old neck. That was kind of hard news. But here's what I want to bring out. The doctor, he said to me, he said, Steve, don't you wish that this had happened to someone else and not you? Hey, I'm thinking about that right now with you. Are you kidding me? I don't even want to. I don't even want to say the exact words that I said to this doctor. It was kind of like, "What the heck is with you?" I mean, who would ever wish this on another person? And then I said, "Hey, I guess if it had to happen to somebody, it's good that it happened to me because I'm going to be able to get through it." Well, maybe we'll give the guy credit for trying to see how strong I was to accept what was going on. You know, uh, I suffer because of my cancer treatments from asthma and COPD, but I don't think hardly anybody knows that I have it. But you can tell by my voice. That's this sound in my voice is my COPD, my breathing. COPD, compulsive obstructive pulmonary disorder. Keep your lungs as strong as possible is what I do because it's a slow, debilitating lung condition with no cure. But I just feel like, well, I'm just going to keep my lungs as strong as possible. That's why I swim as much as I do, so that it'll slow down the rate of my decline. You got to look for the silver lining in everything. You know, that's just kind of it. You got to count your blessings. Don't think about your hangnail being the worst thing in life. Think about what Jesus gave to us on that cross. I just want to tell you that no matter how long or how short our life is, we should live every day to the fullest, using the God given talents that we've been blessed with. When I'm down and feeling kind of just like, I don't know, it's a tinge of anxiety or feeling down about life, semi depressed or something, if I'm like that more than a minute to 2 minutes, if I realize that's where my frame of mind is, I've got a method that I've been using for 30, 40 years. I just stop where I am and I realize that that ain't the way I'm supposed to be. And then I just go immediately to prayer and I ask God to take this burden off my shoulders. And this is bigger than me. I don't know what to do. Lord, I want to give it to you. I trust Him. Hey, you want to find out where you can see that every day? Just take a coin and look at it. In God we trust. And I want to give you a proof that's just the best there is about God. You can't create flowers. Only God can create a flower. So let's not have any more pity parties. Let's not cry. Let's mourn. You can have a cry. You can mourn your loss. You got to come to terms with it. You got to accept your situation. Then you can learn and grow, but give. We are all part of something far, far greater than ourselves. When we've lived our days, we should pray that we will be remembered for the life that we've lived as one that's touched the lives of others with love and truly made a difference. We know that eternity awaits us. I got a couple Bible verses that I want to share. This is mostly for everyone, not just for people that are getting old, but for those of you that are still listening that are going through aging. Psalm 92:14. Even in old age, they will still produce fruit. They will remain vital and green. Proverbs 16:31. Gray hair is a crown of glory. It is obtained by following a righteous path. In Proverbs 20:29, the glory of the young is their strength. The gray hair of experience is the splendor of the old. The book of Ruth is an incredible story, the story of Ruth and Naomi. Ruth chapter 4, verse 15. He will renew your life and sustain you in old age. That's a promise right there in the word. And the last one I want to share with you, and this has been one of my daily prayers for years and years, it's part of Psalm 91, verse 16. With a long life, I will satisfy him and let him see my salvation. Life can be absolutely beautiful. So I just want you to know that I'm motivated by what I know that I'm loved by so many. And the least that I can do is leave my family and all those that I hold dear to me in the best place that I can when I'm gone. That's my daily motivation. That's my reason to live. I'm thankful for my life and for the many blessings that I have. You're loved also, whether you know it or not. And if you have any problem with knowing that you're loved, please reach out to me. Go to my website, rightthink.org, contact me, and let's get together. We need to set an example. We need to live a life of character and integrity. Run a good race. Make the world a better place. And don't let negative thoughts coming out of fear stop you from making positive choices. Don't just choose the lesser of two evils. Choose the higher path, the righteous path. Seek the light. Via con Dios, go with God, and smile a lot. Well, I just want you to know that, I wake up fatigued every day, about my cancers, the radiations. I mentioned those things. I don't drink coffee. It slows me down. I don't do alcohol or drugs. I try to create energy through my thoughts in my mind. I get really excited. And when I get excited, I get energy, and then I get myself up, and then I get myself moving around. I get into physical activity, and then I have another beautiful day. I love reading scripture. I love to read biographies of people that have gone through their personal life and found what their purpose was. Generally, the people that are the most successful, they're people that have done much for others. I believe that we all seek an inner peace that is real, not fake, genuine. When you know that which I'm talking about, you will know that it is of God. That's what my mother taught me, and that's what I want to teach my children and my grandchildren. It's not just words, it's living an example. You cannot hide the truth. My mother's name is Rose, and a rose by any other name is still a rose. God bless you, and have a great week.
Thanks for listening to Right Thinking with Steve Coplon. I look forward to being with you again next week. And remember, don't quit, plan ahead, it will get better. God bless you and have a great week.